everybody, how are you today? I'm Smriti and this is the beginning of a series I'd like to call Being a Montessori Parent. My intentions to start the series is for parents to be able to find answers to very common questions based on the many years of my being a Montessori guide, Montessori teacher trainer and a parent. So let's talk about our first topic, and that is how to deal with tantrums. When I say the word tantrum, all of you who have children know exactly what I mean. It probably is sending the shivers down your spine, especially if you do not know how to deal with it. So today, let's talk about the 5 A's that are going to help us with dealing with tantrums. They are acknowledge, accept, allow, assure, and advise. Let's look at each of these A's and then we're going to use an imaginary scenario and try to use these 5 A's on it. So let's talk about acknowledge. When you want to deal with something, the first step is to acknowledge that the problem even exists. So we have to identify it. To help us identify a tantrum, we have to define what a tantrum is. So in my opinion, a tantrum is a reaction that the child has to a situation or a stimulus at any given time in which his ego is hurt. When I say ego, all I'm trying to say is the individuality of the child. The fact that he has just discovered he has likes and dislikes and that he is a separate entity. Now to such a child, if I ask him to do something that he does not want to do, or I don't give him something that he wants, he is going to manifest behavior which we are going to call as a tantrum. So he could scream, shout, throw himself on the ground, kick his legs, cry. The tantrum can manifest in many different ways. So now you know how to identify a tantrum or acknowledge a tantrum. The next step is to accept it. This is a very important step for the adult because I have often seen when a tantrum happens that as soon as the tantrum starts, the parent just runs in and wants to fix it like as if it should not be happening and there is something wrong about the situation. Now let me let you in on a secret that when a tantrum happens, it is not reflecting on your parenting skills in any way. The reason why a tantrum is happening is because the child has just started interacting with the environment, discovered that he has likes and dislikes, and he's trying to tell you, hey, I'm an individual. So it is a developmental stage. We need to look at it this way, not take it personally, and do what the moment calls for. Now, as you accept it, the tantrum has to be allowed to happen also, which means there is no way any tantrum can be stopped immediately. The tantrum has to go through a beginning, middle, and an end. And so there is no way we can stop the course of the tantrum. Now, if you start talking in the beginning or the middle or start screaming or disciplining, you are only going to aggravate the problem. So it's important to allow the tantrum to take its course. There's one more thing we need to remember is when the tantrum is happening, the child is feeling that he is in a victim mode. He's wronged by you. And so he's throwing this tantrum. Now, if the adult feels wronged by the child and sets up another counter reaction by yelling, it is only going to escalate the matter. So breathe, stay calm, and stay with the child by allowing the tantrum to take its course. This takes us to the next A, which is assure. Now, as the tantrum is taking its course, about which you can do nothing, there is something that you can do, and that is assure the child that no matter what is happening at this moment, I still love you, or he or she is still loved. So how are you going to do it? I think it's a little hard to say, shower your love on a child who's throwing a tantrum and making the situation really hard. But the way you can show your love is by being present, by being calm, being there. Now at this point, if you're going to sit with the child saying that I'm here and look at your phone, you're only going to make the child even more angrier. But patiently waiting there by being present in the situation, calm, quiet and non-judgmental, then the child looks at you waiting and feels that you care for him. This is a very important aspect of the tantrum, especially for the outcome of the tantrum, because every tantrum has an outcome which is positive, and we want that positive outcome for this child too. Now, once you assure and allow, the tantrum will take its course. So if it's a screaming tantrum, the child will scream loudly, reduce the volume, and then finally it subsides. Then we move to the last one, last A, which is advice. This is a very crucial aspect. This is what is going to make that tantrum into something that is positive for the child. And that is, every tantrum has hidden within it a teachable moment. It is for the adult to discover what is the teachable moment and give the necessary advice at that moment. So the important thing is that this advice needs to be related to the tantrum that has happened right now, not to a tantrum that has happened some 10 days ago. But right now what happened, that's what you're going to talk about. And you're going to talk about it only when the tantrum has subsided. This is going to create the future, that is his reaction to a similar situation next time. And such tantrums that keep appearing in a child's life, and you continue to use the 5 A's, and the child continues to learn from the teachable moments, and this results in an adult, hopefully, with no tantrums. So let's summarize the 5 A's: acknowledge, accept, allow, assure, and advise. Now let's take a scenario, an imaginary scenario. And the imaginary scenario for me right now in my head is, there is a child who walks into a store with his parents, and the parents are doing grocery shopping or some other shopping, and the child finds a toy. He wants it. When he asks his parents, the parents say no. And so he throws a big tantrum. He's on the ground screaming, shouting and saying, I'm not going to leave this place till you buy me the toy. So let's use the 5 A's. First is acknowledge. Now I think very clearly it's a tantrum because first of all, the child is manifesting behavior which is not usual and to a situation which has shown some kind of disapproval to him. So he is reacting. That makes it a tantrum. Now once you acknowledge it, the next is to accept it. So the parent running in there and saying, shh, come on, and hushing it up and trying to scream and say, you can't do this, and all this is only not accepting. That is resistance to the present moment. Accepting the present moment is just being there and trying to see what best you can do. Once you accept, yes, now the tantrum is happening. Now it's already started. Now I'm going to have to let it take its course. The next is allow. So you wait till the child has gone through the whole tantrum and you reach the last stage where you can actually give some advice. And at this allowing time, you're going to be calm, patient, and not let your own reaction come into the way. As this happens, or while this is happening, you're assuring the child by just being there. Maybe you can put your hand on his shoulder if he allows you to, or you can say, you can hear me talk if you stop crying, or we can talk when you stop crying, or some small things like that if it's not aggravating him. Otherwise, just wait for the tantrum to take its course. Now, as this allowing happens and assuring happens and the child's tantrum has taken its course, we'll reach a point where it is calm. So the child, now before I talk about this, while the allowing is happening, if you think it's a disturbance in the store for other people and this tantrum is taking a while, then you could take the child to another place like the car or go back home, but allow the tantrum to happen through the process. Now, while the process is over, and you have assured the child that he's taken care of and he's loved or whatever, in whatever way you can, we come to the advice. Now this is a very crucial thing because a teachable moment, it's for you to identify what is the teachable moment. So in this scenario where the child has thrown a fit because he wanted a toy, clearly the teachable moment is that the child does not know how to accept disapproval. He is just throwing a tantrum when someone says no. So there are many ways you can deal with it. You could probably tell the child that, show the child how he can deal with it by using his words, not by creating a reaction. He can explain to his parents why he wants it, and if his parents are able to tell him why they will buy it for him in another time but not today, then there is a discussion that is happening, which will happen when the child grows up. He's going to learn it, but this is the teachable moment for that learning to happen. Or you could make a rule before you leave the house that we have a list and we are going to buy only things on this list, and anything other than that we're not going to buy. The child can still throw a tantrum, then you still go through the A's and try to deal with it, because nobody learns in the very first time. It takes time for everybody to learn. But the teachable moment should be related. So in this case, the fact that it is the disapproval of buying a toy for the child, the teachable moment is to deal with the disapproval. Now, when I say no, you can't buy it, how are you going to deal with it? You're going to wait for a time when we buy it, or we did not plan for it, so we're not buying it, and the child gets it after you do it 1 or 2 times. But if you give into a tantrum because you're scared, or you don't want people to look at you, or for whatever reason, I'm sorry to say that you are only creating a pathway in the child's neural development, saying that when I want something, I have to throw a tantrum, and this continues into adult behavior. So please don't do that. Now, if you have used all the five A's almost many times and the child continues to manifest the same behavior, then we are going to have to use another method called natural consequences or related consequences. And I will talk about this in my next video or future videos. So I'm going to leave you now with the 5 A's, that is acknowledge, accept, allow, assure, and advise in order to deal with tantrums. Please hit on the subscribe button if you want to be notified of future videos, or you could also go to formativeage.in to find out more about the Montessori method, formative age, and the Montessori courses we offer. Thank you.